Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar. Today, we'll be covering how Provence Service Team can support a shift to service delivery mindset by leveraging the Service Catalog and Service Mapping. My name's Derek Renton. I'll be moderating today's webinar, and presenting a demonstration of Provence Service Team will be Brian Field. Before we get started, a couple of housekeeping items. At the top of your GoToMeeting screen, there's options to change the layout of the presentation. So if there's any content that's being blocked, you can move things around. Secondly, I've muted all attendees. So if you have any questions, please submit them through the questions panel on the GoToWebinar window, and I'll address them towards the end of our session. Finally, this webinar is being recorded. So if there's others from your organization that had planned to attend and weren't able to, please contact us and we can provide you with a link. With that, let's get started. So today we're going to be looking at ServiceTeam from Provence. It's our next generation product family. We're the company with the most Microsoft-centric ITSM solution available. We have a robust history as an ISV working with Microsoft, starting in 2010 with our ITAM products built in the Microsoft System Center platform, and in 2016 with the release of Provence ITSM, which was built on Dynamics 365. Most recently in 2021 with our next generation of ITSM and ITAM products built as Power Apps, leveraging the Power Platform, Azure, and other Microsoft technologies. ServiceTeam, which we'll look at today, brings a fresh, agent-focused, multi-tenant, high-performance option to the market. It's been designed to offer flexibility and options from a starter help desk to enterprise ITSM. It works both within Power Apps and Dynamics environments, as you'll see shortly in the demo. So a little bit of background on Microsoft Power Platform and why we've leveraged it for an ITSM solution. If you're not familiar with the Power Platform, it's a world-class, scalable, secure platform that's managed and underpinned by Microsoft Azure. Your tenant is hosted in the Microsoft Data Center, so you have access to the most secure, reliable, and available and scalable hosting available. Some of the things we like about Microsoft's Power Platform is the fact that we can quickly build an ITSM and IT asset management solution. It's done with low-code capabilities, so change is quick and change is inexpensive, and we're able to deliver an enterprise-level solution to you. The things that we really like are the fact that we can leverage other parts of the Power Platform to contribute to our ITSM and ITAM capabilities. Things like reporting. We leverage Power BI, part of the Power Platform, for building dashboards and reports. So dashboards can be created in minutes by non-technical staff. So you can create views and dashboards to see exactly the type of information you need, whether it's key performance indicators or the key metrics you need to manage your business. It replaces data warehouses and having to have SQL reporting resources and such, and you can quickly and easily build out dashboards and share them with your organization. Secondly, Power Automate. Building workflow and automation in the system is done through the Power Automate tool, again, part of the Power Platform stack. It is, again, low code, so the average user can do it and share that out. There's no programming required. Things like the Dataverse. So that is the underpinning database on which the Power Platform resides. It's important because quite often in ITSM and IT asset management, you have different business units that are using the system in different ways, whether it's for enterprise service management or just different approaches and different forms and different workflows. With the underpinning Dataverse, you can have all of these groups working in parallel on the things that are most important to them, but sharing the information in the Dataverse for cross-platform processes, reporting, and such. Power Virtual Agents is coming soon, so the capability to have artificial intelligence and machine learning built into the product. So it really does extend far beyond what the typical ITSM platform can do and allows you to leverage investments you've made in Microsoft or plan to make in the future to support this kind of work. So with that, we'll transition into the demo of this webcast. So we're going to see how to leverage a service definition to ensure your service catalog has the right kind of information. We'll look at service maps and service layers and how you can build them. We'll see why service maps are different than service dependencies and how impact analysis and risk assessment can benefit from service maps with regard to problem management. We'll see major incident and IT asset management as well. How event management change management, and availability management can benefit from service maps. So we've got a lot of ground to cover in the next 20 minutes or so. So Brian, I will transition to you and we will kick off the demo.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Derek. If you can just confirm you can see my screen.
I can.
Perfect. Okay, so Service Catalog is quite a large area to cover, and we're really only going to scratch the surface of what the world of possibility is with ServiceTeam, and specifically ServiceTeam version 2 with respect to many of the items that Derek just mentioned, and how it can help automate, how it can help you understand how things are related together. You know, when there is an outage, what's impacted, you know, what else is going to perhaps face an outage. All of those types of things that, you know, the Service Catalog brings to the table. Now, I'm going to start here at the very basics. When a lot of our customers, we talk Service Catalog, what they're really thinking about is the Service Catalog that you, or the requests catalog more specifically, that you display on the self-service portal. Now, this is just a small part of the overall service catalog component and offering that's within ServiceTeam. So each of these are related to, or generally related to, services that you offer, and allow customers to request different things to enhance the service that they have, or to ask for access, or to begin an enterprise service management process like onboarding personnel. You know, really what you're doing with respect to that service component, which is customer facing, and what your end users are really going to be working with. So one element of the Service Catalog, and to be able to then expose these different offerings so customers can again make requests into the environment, and ultimately create tickets, create service requests, potentially create incidents depending on what you're doing, but an avenue into the services that you offer. However, what we're going to focus on mostly today is the actual definition of a service and the different components that we're now bringing to the table with respect to defining the services and how things relate together and how you might want to manage. You can see some of the terminology here across the top on different tabs on the form. You know, what are we going to look at in terms of availability, and, you know, if an element is down, again, what is impacted as a result. So here on the basic service form, if you will, we're just going to take a look at some of the items that you can define. We won't have time to cover them all, but we want to look at things like the type of business that you're offering. Depending upon the nature of your business, this could be a business service that you're offering to your customers, or a managed service. You know, perhaps you are managing an Azure environment for a customer. That's a little bit of a distinction. A technical service is generally something that would prop up the delivery of a business service, right? So different types of services that you may offer, again, dependent upon, in many cases, the nature of your business and how you want to interact with the customers. Service groups, different concept here, but the idea is very simple in that I can now, as the title mentions, I can group these things together. So I have a common understanding of related items, things that belong to this internal business and support application service group, which is inclusive of the help desk and the email services that I provide, and then HR employee services, all geared towards, in this particular example, internal offerings that are part of a very traditional IT services function, again, within the company. You might look at the service configuration definition. Well, when we're looking at the IT help desk, again, internally facing primarily, what is really driving this, right? What the dependencies might we have? What does it interface with? So in our example here, what we're representing is that we're going to deliver IT help desk services, and to help us do that, we're going to have a dependent item, which is the self-service portal that people can go to, right? So defining exactly what your service configuration entails, so you can see how things relate together and how different elements depend on other offerings, kind of like we have here, where the employee self-services portal, just like ServiceTeam, is dependent upon the Power Apps portal itself. That's the underlying technology that we're using there. If I look at the operations here on this particular one, you also might have dependencies on Microsoft services or other services as well. So in this example, what we're representing here is that there are Microsoft services, and we're looking at integration with Microsoft 365 to help us manage this data. So here you can see, if I look down a little bit further, where we have a series of Microsoft services that we are offering, or that comprise this delivery of this service, and they include Power Automate, Power Apps, Power BI, and Exchange. And additionally, we can now see what the current status is. Well, something's happened with Exchange Online, and we're looking now at a recovery period. Otherwise, all of the other items are operational. So what's the impact now on our customers? Probably fairly significant, given our reliance on email. If I scroll a little bit further, another thing that we have with respect to service definition and how we're managing components that we're using to deliver service, we've now added a brand new item, taking off on the configuration item concept that we've had previously, and capturing very specific certificate CIs, which you have that are associated, in this case, would be to a portal that we're offering, and be able to capture that information and understand when you're going to have to update their certificate or renew their first certificate based upon the expiry date and different planning that we want to be able to do. Now, if I shift the focus a little bit on a different type of service, where I want to now start to focus in on service maps and how that works, and perhaps service availability. If we're looking at, let's say we are offering up retail websites, and that's a service that we offer, right? So we can see that service configuration definition that we're talking about. That's that highest level item. And in this case, we're selling or providing this service to a company called Pizza Planet. We're standing up a store for them. Now, what I want to focus your attention on here is the service map concept. So within the service map concept, now I can start to look at not only the underlying service that we've sold, and which, as we just saw, that's going to lead us to the base service of retail websites, but now I can start to look at links, and this links tab is really where we're now defining how all of the elements within the environment, and in this case, primarily within the CMDB, as you can see from the type, what are we using in order to be able to deliver this service? And this gives us now an understanding if things start to, if we start to have issues, with a SQL server down the road, Okay, which SQL Server are we talking about? And what services are associated to it with respect to not only the Pizza Planet offering, but perhaps to offerings that we may have with other customers. So I can now very easily see how all of this relates together. We have a website, IIS website service, and it's associated to my catalog. And I have a web server, and it's associated to the website service. So we're kind of just building this along, and the web server runs on a VM, and that which is listed here, VM020. And I could capture the physical server that it's stored on as well, or that VM is running on. So you get the idea here. We're starting to now capture and really paint you a picture of exactly what's being used to deliver this. If I scroll over a little bit, you can see some of the things that I was talking about here, right? Where it's that VM runs on a physical server, et cetera, things like that. If I look at the layer, now right now, this is just a way to organize the data. So I know that there are a couple of CIs that are associated to the applications layer or the hardware layer, which would be my physical server and the VM, or different subcomponents of the SQL server. Different ways to be able to construct that, and in the not too distant future, we'll be using this to be able to give and provide visualizations of what this really looks like with respect to all of the relationships, and then where appropriate, a bit of the hierarchy that goes along with it. Now, let's have a look at this service availability here. So the idea here is I want to be able to track and understand how I'm going to be alerted to different things, how I'm going to be able to track current and past outages related to this particular service. So I'm going to have that history that's all available here through this service definition, and then be able to report on it, report to our customers on overall availability during a given period of time that they purchased the services from us. So I can look at the service alerting rules here, and when we get a service outage, and we understand what that's all about related to the Pizza Planet website. Now we're going to invoke some rules. Well, what does this mean, right? What are we going to do? Should we, when we get that alert template or that alert that's coming in, and I'll show you alerts here in just a moment. Do we want to automatically create an announcement, right, that we post on the self-service portal when there's an outage? And what's that message going to be? Lots of different things that we can now kick off automatically simply by understanding that an alert has been raised and we have information on that alert, and it will tell us, once again, I'll show you this here in a moment, exactly what's happening, whether it's unavailable or degraded or whatever that might be, right? We'll apply those alerting rules to the service and then publish information based upon exactly so we can inform our customers in the best possible way. Now here I can see current outages as well. Again, I can look at the history, but I can understand that we currently have an outage and it started just a short time ago, and now it's up to my team to manage this outage and to restore service as quickly as possible. So lots of different things that we can do here. Again, I'm only scratching the surface on what's possible here. We could take a look at some of the, we've already looked at the operations, sorry. There might be some other areas that we look at in terms of guidance, right? Are there knowledge articles that are appropriate that we can relate to this service? Are there change notices, which would be related to change management processes, an item that Derek, I think, mentioned in his overview. Well, a change notice is how we alert agents and potentially then customers on impending or upcoming changes that are going to be implemented with respect to this particular service. Workarounds or it's a known error database, if you will, right? Another repository that we can go to be able to see, different ways to be able to troubleshoot items and move forward from there. So let's have a look. I've teased you a little bit on alerting, and I want to look at event management here, and then we'll also look at it from a ticket perspective on what happens, that trail of events from the alert through to the event, through to potentially, depending upon your rules, a ticket. So first thing that we're going to talk about here is this concept of an alert footprint. This alert footprint, think of this as a definition of what we want to do when we receive an alert from a monitoring tool that we're using. Now, this one is representing SCOM, but we'll have Azure Monitor is another one we'll have out of the box. If you have other tools, we can certainly integrate with other third-party alerting and monitoring tools as well. So, but again, what you're trying to do here is really understand what to do with those alerts when they come in. So if I were to open up this particular one, when we're processing this inbound alert through that integration, first thing we want to do is look for different criteria. What's in that alert that we can use to help us understand what's happening? So in this particular example, we're looking for, an alert name of where it contains, the alert name contains a hardware error. And when we do that, when we find something like that, then we want to look at what's called an event processing rule. What do I do with it once we now have the alert inbound and we processed it? We kind of have an idea what it's all about. Now, you can have event correlation rules. So maybe I have existing events that are open that I want to now be able to associate to one another. So we don't want to do 50 tickets for the same item, for example. We want to be able to understand where there's common events that we tie together. But in this event processing rule, we now have the ability to determine what we want to do. So we have the alert, we've created an event as a result of that alert based upon our rules. What do we do? So here we're going to create a ticket. Now we could, using the correlation, we could select that. We could automatically create a change. Maybe it's just noise and we want to ignore it because it's a low impact, low visibility, just an alert that it's really not indicating that there's a significant issue or an issue at all, really. It's informational. Or we can do a notification. So here we want to create a ticket. We want to be able to associate the configuration item that we were able to get from the alert. We'll know what that machine is, hopefully, and be able to associate a ticket. Then we can use a couple of different things depending on what we want to do. And you can see the screen here where, depending upon what we select, whether it's correlation or a notify or to do a change, or we want to set up, and this is what we're going to do here. We're going to create a ticket. Now, for those of you who work with ServiceTeam or the Provence ITSM products in the past, you'll know we have a concept of a ticket template. And we're using that concept here to be able to say, great, this event's come in, it meets these rules. Here's what I want to do with respect to ticket creation. And it's all the things that you're probably familiar with, again, if you're a Provence customer, but pre-populating the ticket record with the ticket type and the standard urgency and the impact and the standard category and subcategory, all based upon that alert footprint, which is going to give us a lot of information. And from here, then I can set, depending on what I want to do, if it's a change, maybe I kick off an approval process, or maybe I create some standard tasks, or maybe I do an automation. So take an example where you get a disk space notification. Well, maybe we have a script that we could execute, which would allocate additional resources to a VM or to a server in general. So there might be some opportunities to to remediate the alert fairly quickly, either for a short-term solution, or perhaps something that will be a little more long-term fix, if you will, to that particular issue. So alerts, alert footprints, events, event processing rules when they come in from the alert, to be able to create a ticket, and that now the appropriate team could work just like they would any other ticket, right? So that we're now looking at our basic ticket form with everything filled in as we've identified on the ticket template. Perhaps it gets assigned to a team on the ticket template, to a server management team, or an infrastructure team, or whatever team would generally take care of this type of processing item. Now, what we add here, that's all well and good. I can manage this. I could manage this as a problem, where we introduce our problem management capabilities. Whatever I really want to do. Now we're into straight ITSM, right? And being able to manage that. I won't go through that in detail here. It is something that you can see in other webinars that we've done in the past. But what I want to be able to do here is highlight the fact that we have identified now this CI, right? We know what CI it was. This has come in from the event. I can look at that CI. I can get information on it. I can have an understanding of how it might relate to other elements within my environment. I can see by definition right now this is offline. The alert told me that, or told the application that, and we can set different values like a state indicator. We can look at the service impact tab, and we can see any rules that we might have in place, or we might be able to understand how we have initiated a service impact analysis execution automatically, based upon the fact that, hey, we now have an outage on this particular item. I can look at service mapping. Remember, we looked at the service map when we were looking at the definition of the service. Well, now we're looking at it from a slightly different perspective, but this very individual CI perspective, where if I were to open this up, ultimately I could get to the service and see the whole picture here as well. So lots of information that is now being pulled together through different parts of the process. And the last thing I want to show you here in my time, and then I'll turn it back over to Derek, is that impact analysis that we were talking about, right? So now I'm on the service desk, or I'm on a support team. What does this all mean to me? And then what does it mean, more importantly, to the customers that we're supporting? So I can tell that this ticket was generated through an event, through the alert that came in. I want to be able to automatically see, and this is where this is a service impact assessment runs, right? Where we're looking at service maps and dependencies, et cetera, looking at all those different components. And now I can see, great, I know that because the CI is being used to deliver services to multiple customers, I now know that ultimately what I need to know is Pizza Planet and Callahan, what we're delivering to them is compromised. And very specifically, we know that their retail sites are not operational right now, and we need to then do the remediation in order to get them back up and running. Now we have that service impact analysis record again down here. I'm going to go ahead and open this one at this particular time. And again, I can see a little bit more information on, when did this start? Hopefully it will end this quickly as well, as you see here. But this is actually showing the execution timing and not the timing of the outage itself. So it runs pretty quickly when this comes in, and again gives you that picture of everything that could possibly be impacted as a result of the fact that prod on SQL Server is unavailable. All of this is going to be compromised in one way or another. And then I can look at service map references. And this is again coming full circle, representing all of this data slightly differently. But as a result of our analysis, here's all of the things that are going to be impacted and how they are related to each other, and again be used for remediation, be used for communication to customers, so that you can respond to questions, you can respond to plans, you can respond to affirmatively that you've got this well in hand, and you'll be returning their services to full operational status as quickly as possible. So again, just scratching the surface here. There's a lot to this, a lot of capability, a lot of things that you can do, but we're automating many of the items once we have the services defined, how things are interrelated, and then using tools like an Azure Monitor, our Provence Services platform, to be able to process those alerts into events, as you saw an example there, and then ultimately leading to a ticket for action by your various support teams. So Derek, I'll turn it back over to you at this point. I appreciate my time.
Thank you very much, Brian. That was great. So as mentioned at the top of the webinar, if you do have questions, please submit them through the panel and we'll address them now. So we do have a couple of questions that have come in, Brian, if you can help me out with these. So one of the questions is, can an agent change the incoming values of urgency / prioritization that have been set by the requester?
Absolutely. So, and this is true on any ticket management process as well. But if you're allowing your requester or a tool, like in this particular case where we're using the ticket template, you always have the ability to make another adjustment here or to make an adjustment to urgency and the impact, which ultimately will affect priority. Yes, definitely editable at just about any point in time in the process.
Okay, great. Second question has come in. Can a ticket template be created for common requests?
Pardon me?
Sorry, can a ticket template be created for common requests?
Oh, absolutely. So, so as we saw with the ticket template for the hardware events, when we were talking about event management, that may also be applied to where agents can reference a ticket template when they're creating an incident. Maybe have common incidents, like a good example might be a hardware repair. And you always want the same category, subcategory, service, etc. Title, description, absolutely. And those ticket templates are also used. I showed the portal a little bit, but those ticket templates are also used in support of the service catalog process. When somebody wants to initiate an onboarding process or an offboarding or a new computer, whatever that might be, those are supported with the underlying ticket templates as well, all with an eye towards making life easier for the person who's submitting a ticket, but also making life easier for the agents. Everything comes in as whenever it's possible in a standard and routine way, so things are entered consistently, reporting is better, process is better to make sure things get in the hands of the right teams, tasks are created consistently that must be completed as part of a ITSM management process. So absolutely can template that, and we try to get people to template that as much as possible for the very reasons that I was just mentioning.
Of course. Okay, I think those are the two questions that have come in. So as mentioned, this is being recorded. So if you'd like to reach out to us for a link, you can contact us at info@provence.com. Or if you have any further questions, or if you'd like to schedule a demo for your unique requirements, we can do that as well. So info@provence.com is where you can reach us. Feel free to follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook for product announcements, upcoming webinars, blogs, all of that good stuff. If you're interested in finding out more, again, info@provence.com. So thanks, Brian, for the great demo. And thank you, everybody, for attending today. And we look forward to engaging with you soon. Have a great day.